Hi everyone, today I will be talking about wrong notes and mistakes. So as Beethoven famously pointed out, wrong notes aren't the most important part of the music experience, but I believe that a lot of wrong notes can potentially influence how someone perceives your music. And of course, as professionals, or just if you want to become better, we have to focus on how do we avoid playing so many wrong notes and mistakes. So I've been struggling with wrong notes for a long time and playing mistakes and hitting wrong keys, etc. until I realized that I had to actively think about why these mistakes happen and how to avoid them. So I will show you my tips and tricks on how to avoid playing wrong notes, and also at the end I'll show you a little system that I've, so to say, developed, but not really, on how to play more accurately. Okay, so what is a wrong note? Let's start with that. For example, if you play, let's say you intend to play this, okay, and you accidentally, for example, play two notes instead of one. This is a very common problem, that you completely cover both keys here. For example, this, and this is very common for white keys, of course, because it's very difficult to cover both a black key and a white key. But I bet it happens. I mean, probably it has happened to me as well. But mostly, like 99%, we're talking about covering two white keys here, or sometimes two black keys. So this is one type of mistake. And the other biggest type of mistake is just completely missing the note. So for example, again, let's just say I intended to play this and I just end up doing like this. Okay, here I didn't completely miss it, so I will show you again. Like this, let's say, maybe for this interval it doesn't work so nicely, so let's just say, this can happen if you just want to play C major and you just accidentally end up playing completely the wrong note. So this is the second type of mistake that I'll cover. So as you guys know, on the piano we have the great misfortune, so to say, that we cannot really transition between the keys naturally. So if we take like a string instrument, there is an infinite kind of variation between two notes where you can increase slightly the frequency. However, we cannot do this on the piano. We either play this note or we play this one. There is no in between and no transition. Like you can try, but there is no real transition between the two notes. This means that even if you hit 1 millimeter to the left or to the right, the wrong note will action and then you hear the mistake. There are, of course, different types of mistakes. For example, from memory slips, if you play something and then you don't know where you are and then you end up playing the wrong note, of course, this is a different type of mistake because the source or the root of the problem is a different one. So why do these mistakes happen and how can we avoid them? For example, let's take the Chopin Etude Opus 10 number 4, the very famous torrent. And let's look at, for example, the first row. For example, here in the beginning, it could be possible that people slip or miss the octave. Or here, for example, this. And all these kinds of mistakes. And I believe almost 99% of the mistakes happen because we don't have a clear enough picture in our head. If you imagine as the notes or the piano sheet music as a painting, then the more information you have about it, the less likely you are to play mistakes. And of course, it's not just visually on the piano, but it also has to do with the feeling. So, easy answer is you need to play so slowly and so often so that you individually know each note of the piece and you repeat it so often so that your impression, your overall impression and information you have is so strong that there isn't much room for wrong notes. So the first part is the preparation. The second is what I would like to call prediction. So you already know probably where your mistakes are going to happen. Let's say, for example, here mistakes happen. Then you already have a pattern of why this happens. For example, here it happens because of the jump. So with this information, you can already prepare to fight against playing this wrong note. My tip for this is record yourself, just play however many mistakes you like to play. Then listen to your recording and note down exactly where you do your mistakes. You will notice that if you record yourself 5, 10, 15 times, there will be almost definitely a pattern of places where you tend to go wrong in the same way. So you need to write those down, and then you need to fix them, and you need to predict when you're playing what's going to happen, and you need to countermeasure that. Mistakes happen for a reason. Ultimately, I cannot tell you why you do a mistake in a very certain place. It will be down to you, down to your history, and many complicated reasons. But it will usually happen in the same place. And the only thing that would be foolish of you to do is to just let the luck decide on how it's going to fix. And this will usually be 2 or 3 of the same places or similar techniques. For example, jumps or fingering changing, position changing is very famous. So you can already predict where your mistakes are going to happen. So we have slow practice, a lot of repetition to enhance the image in your head, and analyzing and predicting your own playing to know where you make the mistakes. And now the last point will be a small system that I've developed, which is not really a system, but just I would say a method of how to play more accurately. So I believe that many mistakes happen because we don't position our hand accurately. This means if we just think about like very simple stuff like this, or if we go back to the Opus 10 number 4 here, we don't usually think about which part of the key our finger is hitting. And I think that's a big problem. So we just think in the whole key, but we don't think exactly where of the key we want to hit. And I believe that using this information would make for a much more accurate picture in your head, because you would not only think about, I'm going to play that note, or let's say here, but I would also be thinking about where in the key I would be actually hitting that note. So, for example, I would position, let's say here. So, for example, here, I would then think about where do I need to position the third finger here in order to play the second one on the C sharp. If I position my third finger too low, it will be not so, it will be quite awkward because of the stretch. So I would rather position in, let's say, the second 33% of the key. And I believe if you're very precise with this and you exactly know where you position each finger and so on, just as an example, then you will be very precise and mistakes will happen less and less, because you're not only thinking about I'm playing the note, but you're thinking about I'm playing the note exactly here. And then your mistake can be even that you hit it in the wrong place. This can be a mistake for you, meaning you intended to hit intended to hit the key here, but instead you hit it here or too much to the left. Then this you can already consider a mistake, and you didn't even play the wrong note yet. So it will give you a lot more quality, let's say, and a lot more security with your kind of mistake feedback system, right? Because you will be so much more precise about where you position your finger that mistakes will happen even less likely. So thanks for watching. This was a bit of a complicated video, I know, but we have covered a lot of topics here. And if you have questions, you can ask me. And otherwise, if you want coaching or a lesson, you can head over to my website and get a lesson there.